Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's your host with the most, AvrLR32 here, bringing you guys a discussion video on the Cyber Dragon deck. That's right, like one of the most notorious OTK decks because, well, when it was released, because you could just steal a win from your opponent and then they wouldn't even realize what hit them. Like, literally, you could just out of nowhere play a Power Bond, Cyber Dragon at 8,000, swing in one of their monsters, and then you just win. So ignore the deck list because this is a very old build from, I want to say, like when the deck first came out. So whenever the structure deck came out, I found this build. So yeah, it's that old, you guys. Back when we were still running triple upstart, triple reckless, and everything. So don't take this build and think like it's gonna be amazing because it's probably not gonna be that good. Anyways, so I was playing against a Cyber Dragon deck on Dev Pro earlier today while I was playtesting Chamburn. I know, please don't hate. But the guy was playing it, and I'm not gonna lie, like he just flat out sucked. Like he was using Cyber Network, which I thought was a pretty bad card in my opinion, and everybody was saying it was a bad card just because it's very slow, and if they pop it, then you're screwed. Which popping happens now more than ever right now. So, you know, he's playing Cyber Network, and then I go to my end phase, and he uses the effect of Cyber Network to banish a monster. I'm like, that's actually pretty good if he didn't have to worry about it getting popped by something like, whether it be Morale Attack, or Begal Attack, or MST, or Artifact Ignition, Shadal Dragon, anything like that. And he was able to use it during my turn, even though it said once per turn, so it was like a Dark Smog. I'm like, huh, that's pretty interesting. So he was able to get all three of his Cyber Dragons banished really quick. So, and I just got to thinking to myself, like, what happened to this deck? So I ended up going up on YouTube and typing in, you know, Cyber Dragon deck profile, September 2014 format. And the one with the most amount of views was from like 8 months ago, and the latest one I could find, like the most recent one that someone had posted, was from a month ago, and it said July 2014 formats. I don't know if they just forgot to upload that video back when it was July or what, but I was like, oh dear God. And when I watched the video, it was god awful. Like he was running 2 Necro Gardenas, he was running 2 Cyber Altanians. I'm like, oh dear God in heaven, I haven't ran this deck in like 10 months, and I know for a fact that this dude is bad. Or at least the build is anyways. So yeah, that was that, and so I was just like, alright, forget this. So I guess I'm kind of just posing the question to you guys, like, what in God's name happened to this deck? Like, why is nobody playing it? Like, yes, I understand that, you know, Shadals and Tellarknights and everything else is a thing, and it's a back row heavy format right now, but, you know, Trap Stun, Royal Decree, and Wiretap are all cards. You know, Cyber Dragon decks could just play those cards. Like, even in this build, this is a build I got from, as you can see in the name of it, TCG Player, and the guy ran triple Trap Stun. Like, the deck needs it. Like, triple MST isn't enough. They have to be able to hurt the back row. And since they're a really fast-paced OTK deck, that's why you're running triple Swiss Scarecrow, or, you know, any sort of other hand trap, or even Threatening Roar or something like that to help prevent yourself from getting killed by your opponent, because you're pretty much going to have one shot to beat them, and that's in the form of Power Bond. Because typically what the play is going to be is that you're going to go Power Bond into either Cyber End or Cyber Twin, depending on your situation, and you're going to pretty much most likely be getting game that turn because you don't want to be taking either the 2800 or the 4000, depending on which monster you go into, even though they keep that boost. Which is what throws a lot of people off about Power Bond, actually. Like, I was playing it when it first came out at my locals, and I played Power Bond, made a Cyber Twin, swung twice, took 28, and ended my turn. And then he went to go summon a monster to get over it, and then he attacked. I'm like, okay, you take damage. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it stays at 56. He's like, that damn thing stays at 56? I'm like, yeah. He read Power Bond. He's like, well, shit. So even though you take damage, the payoff's pretty good. Like, I wouldn't mind just sitting on the board with a 5600 Cyber Twin and an 8000 Cyber End. But granted, that's where the popping effect comes in. You know, it's just, you know, anything can throw them off, like Bear or Morale Attack, like I mentioned earlier, anything like that. And I do realize that decks like this get hurt by Floodgate cards very easily, i.e. Vanity's Emptiness. In their case, Light Imprisoning Mirror, and Prohibition, which is the #1 reason why I don't want to even touch this deck anymore, just because of the fact that Prohibition completely shuts down this deck if they call Cyber Dragon, because all the Cyber Dragon monsters like Core and Dre, even Zwei, are all treated as Cyber Dragon. So like Core says its name is treated as Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the grave. Dre, its name is treated as Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the grave. And Cyber Dragon is Zwei, you have to reveal a spell, and then its name is treated as Cyber Dragon. So then you can't even activate that effect if they have Light Imprisoning on the board, or even Prohibition for that matter. So I do see the issue with that. But at the same time, though, like if you are a good enough player and you're able to compensate for that, and working around the floodgate card issues, this deck could be very good. Like, it doesn't always have to be a fast OTK deck. It could just be a control version where you kind of take the game a bit slower and you kind of grind out your games, like throwing maybe a machine and gadget engine here. Like I still have a build on here where there's a machine and gadget engine, and it's not as fast as this build here, but this build is a little bit more control-y. Maybe toss some gadgets in here as well, make it a little bit more control version, and run more traps and just sort of make it more of a control-based deck instead of an OTK-based deck. So, what happened to this deck, you guys? It kind of fell off the wayside, I guess, like 8 months ago, I guess you could say. People stopped posting profiles of it and anything having to do with the deck. I realized it only topped one regional, like 1 or 2 regionals when it first came out, and then that was all the deck really did. But I mean, if you're good enough with the deck and you can build it well, then I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do well with the deck. I understand, I will admit the one issue that the deck does have is that it can beat itself in the form of Power Bond, or even losing all your Cyber Dragons, whether it be like all of them get banished or whatever. That can hurt you pretty bad. So you'd probably have to run something like Barrel from the Different Dimension, especially nowadays with people using like DD Crow, and especially with all the level reducers like Stygian Dirge and Mischief of the Yokai. Cyber Dragon Dre's effect might not be going off a lot, so you kind of have to rely more on rank 4s instead of your rank 5 plays. So yeah. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this video, you guys. If you enjoyed, a like or favorite would be appreciated. Just wanted to kind of put up a discussion video for you guys. I know I haven't been posting a lot. I've just been very busy. I want to try and live stream probably tomorrow if I can, because I don't really have any plans for tomorrow. And my birthday is coming up in, what's today, the 6th? So 28 days, and I will be 18 years old, still playing Yu-Gi-Oh! But I don't mind that. It's all good. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and be sure to rate, comment, and most importantly, subscribe.